I'm Charlie Bright of Gold Derby, and I am speaking with Cooper Raiff, the writer, director, star, caterer, I guess, also for the movie
Yes.
Cha Cha Real Smooth, which is on Apple TV right now. You can currently stream it there. Cooper, first question I want to ask you is, what made you want to make a movie that is about something that is very important in the Jewish tradition, despite not being Jewish yourself?
I am from Dallas, which people don't think of Dallas as the place where there are so many bar mitzvahs and bar mitzvahs on the weekends. But I went to this small little private school called Green Hill, and it was truly like 40% Jewish. And I had been going to school from like since kindergarten, and I knew that all my friends were Jewish, but that didn't mean anything to me until I was 13, and I was going to a bar mitzvah literally every Saturday, and a service in the morning, and I remember that's already the most visceral year of your life when you're 13, and but I remember feeling so jealous of the togetherness, and I think that an idea that I had was this movie Cha Cha, which is about kind of two broken families in a way, or families that are trying to uh, start over again, and just picturing those families at these bar mitzvahs and watching these candle lighting ceremonies just felt like the energy that I wanted to convey.
So that actually dovetails into the next question. So you obviously there is real life experience for you, but what other real life experiences did you draw on when when you were writing this movie?
I always draw from my life. I don't know if anything uh I don't know if it's not very autobiographical, right down to like I didn't graduate college like Andrew, but I draw feelings, and there are dynamics in my life, and there are people in my life who I think some of the characters are based on, and I like to just like kind of write really fast and write instinctually, and things come up that feel really personal that I didn't even realize I was thinking about, and things make their way from subconscious to the page. And I don't know. Uh I have a disabled sister, and I think Lola is spiritually based on her. But I think Domino is in a weird way spiritually based on my mom, and Freud would have a lot to say about the movie. But yeah, I think everything just works its way into people's writings.
So I'm curious with the whole you know was the way that bar mitzvahs flowed and the way that the ceremonies actually, especially the parties afterwards, did was that something that you always noticed when they weren't well managed? And did you ever try to like take control and say like, hey, this is how things have to run?
No, actually, because there was this guy. So the party starter was Vince. He literally worked every single party that I went to in eighth grade, and he just had it on lock. He was this older guy who was also he was had it in with the kids, with the adults. He was just like very good at party starting and very in control. And every party went so smoothly. And I think the big idea that I had was, what if it's this boundaryless 22-year-old who is the party starter, and like has just is like drinking on the job, and like has no boundaries. And yeah, that was what was like so funny and interesting, was the picturing someone who's doing the role that Vince did so well, but like they're screaming WAP lyrics into the microphone, and all the kids are dancing and the parents are mortified.
Not to say anything about the grandparents, probably too.
Yes, you're right. You're right. Yeah.
So you brought up the character of Lola. What was the process like? Vanessa Burghardt is so wonderful in her performance. What was the process like of casting that role and determining that Vanessa was the right person to take on that role?
I watched her tape. We did a nationwide search, so there were a lot of tapes sent in, and when I watched hers, I just I don't know what it was, but I started crying and just knew that I wanted to make a movie about her. And she was nothing like the character that I had written, really. And I remember being really scared to tell the producers that, like, it's got to be her and I'm going to rewrite it all to make it work. But I don't know what it was. I think she was reading with her mom. And I think the movie was originally so inspired by my mom's relationship with my sister. And there was something about Vanessa, who was like so clearly reading with her mom, and I could tell she was a little like frustrated with her mom at a certain point, and it just made me emotional, and like really I felt connected with her already through the computer, and when I met her, even more so, and we're still close. I adore her, and I'm obsessed with her in a very similar way to the way that Andrew's obsessed with Lola.
One of the things that I think is so refreshing about the movie and the script in particular is it feels like you basically thought to yourself, what if all these people just acted like adults? Especially when you're doing a comedy, it could usually go way off the rails. But so what made you want to write the script in that way?
Um, I think maybe it's an ambition because I'm not an adult to write characters who act like adults. I don't know. I I always want to be realistic, and I think that the realism can have a really big impact sometimes when, especially when you have like a crazy setting or a crazy dynamics at play, or a relationship that's, this shouldn't be a relationship, but then the reality of that, or the way that unfolds in real time, and if you do it in a realistic way, I think it can be very poignant and say a lot about how painful life is, and how uh exciting it can be in 1 second, and then the next it feels like such a big loss. And so yeah, I think there are times where producers wanted to the adults to not act like adults, and let's get into some fun antics, but I always just, my imagination is not that big.
So I talked about one of the casting decisions with Vanessa Burghardt, but there are three other ones that I really loved in the movie, besides yourself, of course. And that was casting Dakota Johnson, Leslie Mann, and one of my personal favorites, Brad Garrett. What was the process of getting those casted into this movie?
Dakota I met with before I had even written the script. So I met with her production, or her producing partner, Ro Donnelly, and then Ro was like, let's meet with Dakota in 2 days. She's about to start filming The Lost Daughter, and she's in Greece, and we'll meet with her, and it's going to be late at night for her. And it happened so fast, but I pitched her this plot and this title, and we just all hit it off together, and it felt right from the beginning like we were going to make a movie together. And so we just I really wrote it for Dakota, and she had a lot to say about her character and the movie itself, and both of them are just such great producers. And then Leslie, I've always wanted her, she's like the dream mom in every movie, and I never thought she would do it, but Dakota is friends with her, so Dakota texted her and said, please be in this dumb kids movie, and because I'm in it and I'm producing it too. So because of Dakota, we got Leslie, and then Leslie was like, I will only do the movie if Brad Garrett plays my husband. That's not true, but Brad, I've always been such a massive fan of Brad's, and I think that he's so funny, and I think that that role is like, it's deceptively, like, it's a very hard role to cast, because he's got to be able to take such a beating from Andrew and then just stay upright and like be the butt of jokes, but like ultimately be that sturdy person. And just like his sense of humor is just, he's just really funny and great, and I love him in that role, but I also love him in everything he does.
I wholeheartedly agree with you, Brad. Brad's one of the greatest. And if you ever need any besides his performances, like on of course on Everybody Loves Raymond, when he won his first Emmy, the first thing he said on stage was, "I hope this breaks down the door for Jewish people trying to make it in show business."
He's a walking stand-up act. He is constantly making jokes, and on set he in scenes we had the shorthand of he would do a take and then he'd look at me and he'd go, "A little less mustard," and I'd say, "A little less mustard." Yeah. He's such a joy.
So, you've had the journey with this film is still ongoing, but I mean, you had an incredible kickstart to it earlier this year when it won the audience award at the Sundance Film Festival. And I was wondering, what was that experience like?
I was scrolling through Twitter because it wasn't in person. So my whole Sundance experience was on my phone. And I was with my friends who were like, "Get out of your phone." And I was like, "I'm at Sundance. Hold on." So I was in my pajamas when we found out, and it felt so nice that we weren't, I mean, it was a great feeling to have not had to have missed out on seeing it with an audience, but to get the audience award felt like a nice, like, okay, at least we have proof that people saw it, and that it was received well and it landed in safe arms, I guess.
Well, Cooper, thank you so much for joining us. We wish you all the best over this upcoming awards season. And to all of our viewers, please like this video, subscribe, and don't forget to go to goldderby.com to make your Oscar predictions. Thanks so much, Cooper.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Appreciate it.